Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What's My Line. I am your host, Chris Lemchi. You guys can always follow me on social media on Twitter at @TheChrisLemchi and on Instagram at @TheChrisCrusade. Hopefully, you guys are having a good day. Hopefully, it's been a good weekend for you. Hopefully, the summer's been great. Now that restrictions have finally loosened up here in California, I'm looking forward to finally getting a chance to go out and see everything in Los Angeles. Anyways, today on the show, I bring on actress Sierra Nowak. She is originally from Akron, Ohio, and we pretty much talk about her entire journey. Like, what was it like moving from Akron to Los Angeles? What was, her earliest projects, her earliest plays, working on shows like Lucifer. As well, she's also a business owner. She started a little business during the pandemic, so we talk about that. So definitely check out this episode, enjoy it, and here we go. Hey, Sarah, welcome to my show. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you.
Yeah, ask away.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. So you're an actress in Los Angeles, California. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from a town called North Hill in Northeast Ohio. It's part of a city called Akron.
Okay.
LeBron James, if some people know that name, that usually helps.
Okay, cool. So you're the best thing to come out of Akron after or before LeBron James, because he's okay. He's not that great. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on my greatness. I'm working on just being a kid from Akron like he did. Yeah, super inspiring.
There you go. Hey, you never know. Maybe you'll be in Space Jam 3.
There we go. I love that. Manifest.
Well, what got you into acting? Were you acting back in Akron?
Yeah, so I actually started in theater around the age of 8. I would put on local plays for my neighborhood, like wrote, directed, produced by the age of 8.
Wow.
Local neighborhood plays. So it's always been just like a part of who I am and what I wanted to do.
Nice. Was there like a particular movie or TV or play that just like really kind of sucked you in, or it was just always like, oh, I want to do this?
Yeah. So funnily enough, first of all, The Wizard of Oz had a huge impact on my desire to become an actress and watching Judy Garland. And I mean, I watched that movie probably every day for a few years of my childhood. As kids, you have like the one thing you like to watch on repeat. And that was definitely one of the big ones for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another movie, which I'm not sure if anyone will know about this, but it's called The 10th Kingdom. And it's like a 12-hour 6 or 12, I don't know, it's some crazy long movie. And it's super weird and quirky with like different like elves and universes and stuff. And that was like another one that I was just like, I have to do this. I have to make things like this.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Like, I actually have a friend, Grace, who's been on the show, and she mentioned that as one of her inspirations for being an actress as well too. So it's kind of funny.
For The Wizard of Oz or The 10th Kingdom?
The 10th Kingdom.
Oh, heck yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
No one ever feels like, what's that? I'm like, it was magical.
Well, I've never seen it, but I guess now that I have two people who've mentioned it to me, I'll have to check it out.
It's time. Yeah. You've been called to check it out.
So what was like you said, you were putting on local plays when you were a kid. Do you remember the first play you put on?
Yeah, honestly. So it's funny because we used to like play school. And so like one of the first little things I remember was like, we were like had a classroom scene. We were like playing school. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one where we reenacted like Janet Jackson songs and like I would choreograph a little dance to it. Like nothing super elaborate. Like there were maybe like 3-minute, little productions. And we laid down like tree logs for people to sit on. And this one lady's backyard. I wish I could remember her name, but she was so kind. She had a big backyard and she always let us like play there and invite all our parents. And it was just really sweet memories.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were doing the plays at 8, and then from there, I'm assuming when you went to like high school, you joined theater, and just continued more with acting.
Yeah. So I actually joined theater in middle school, sixth grade. We did like we did Aladdin actually in sixth grade. And then seventh grade, we did something called Once on This Island, which is a Broadway play actually. But I hadn't heard of it at that time. And then we did a murder mystery in eighth grade. And then I just continued that journey throughout high school as well.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I bet a murder mystery would have been fun to perform in 8th grade.
It was super fun because we did it like dinner style. So the audience like sat in our cafeteria and we set up a stage, and some of like the cast members were sitting at tables and there were like clues on the tables and we'd walk around. So it was very like interactive theater, which was super ahead of its time for a small town in Ohio many years ago. So very, very cool experience to be a part of that. I feel like that's becoming more of a thing now, interactive theater, right? Like,
Yeah. There's like a lot of like, if you'll see like on Meetup, a lot of like Meetup groups, they'll go to like interactive theaters, and there's always like these like murder mystery dinners now that they're like populating more and more.
yeah. So
Yeah, so it looks like you
our
were
play
ahead of its
director,
time.
yeah, we had our play director was also our band coach. So he was just like very involved in the arts. He knew what was up.
Yeah, you mentioned it was like a small town, so it was, cause I've been to Cleveland, but I've never been to like Akron. So it's like, was everybody like those kind of small towns that everybody knows everybody kind of thing, or?
Oh yeah. And especially like it's built into like subsets of towns. So like I'm from North Hill, which is 11,000 people. So I don't know if you have like concept of how many 11,000 is, but it's not a lot. Like our high school had like 114 people graduate. So if I go home and I like go to the bank or I go to the grocery store, or if I walk down the street, you know, I'm gonna see someone from high school for sure.
Mhm. So you knew everybody in your high school, like, whereas to me, 'cause I grew up in Austin, and there are some people in my high school graduation, and I was like, huh, never met you before. How you doing? I'm Chris.
Wow. That's insane to me.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a lot of people. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize you're from Austin. That's so cool.
Hmm. Austin, born and raised, and then came out here as well to follow my acting dreams. So
Yeah. Did you do theater as well?
I did choir in 8th grade, and then I did theater in high school. I stopped, like I was singing, yeah, singing 8th grade, and then like that's when like my voice changed. So I went from like a
Mm,
from a high tenor to a low voice. I was like, well, this isn't gonna work anymore. So
that's hilarious. Low voices are awesome. You totally
yeah,
could rock that.
I'm slowly kind of like, especially like doing this podcast, it's kind of made me more confident in my voice. But for the longest time, I'd always be like, oh, my voice sounds so bad. It's just like this low baritone kind of thing. But like now that
That's
like I've been out,
awesome.
yeah. Now that I've been out here, it's like I've been getting like good feedback, because I've done like voiceover auditions and stuff like that. Like, man, we really love your voice. Like, oh wow, thank you. I wish like someone would have told me this 10 years ago, but sure.
Yeah, right. Things we learn. Now you
Right.
definitely have a great voice.
Oh, thank you. And you as well.
Yeah. Thanks. Have you ever seen or read or watched Smokey Joe's Cafe?
I've heard of it, but never read or seen it.
There's an awesome baritone part in there. So you're very needed in the arts.
Good.
Very,
Well,
very needed. There's a lot of cool parts out there for those deep, beautiful voices like yours.
I'll remember that. I will remember that. And I will take that
Yeah.
compliment too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So after high school, did you go straight to LA?
Kind of. So I had, funny enough, I didn't really know, as much as I knew acting was my love, I didn't know it was an actual job.
Mhm.
So from high school, I was actually going to study business. And I wanted to study at Harvard. That was always my dream, to go to Harvard, because I saw it probably on 100 Disney movies and on Gilmore Girls with Yale. And, I just felt like called to go there and be like this crazy success story from
Yeah.
where I come from.
So yeah, so you would have
Um,
been the Rory Gilmore, and Akron would have been your Stars Hollow.
exactly. Like that was the dream.
Okay.
And I made it to the final round interview, and which is also just crazy because I'm like first generation college student. Like on my FAFSA when I applied for college, my parents' combined income was $8,000 annually, which is insane now that I'm an adult and I can conceptualize how that's not enough money to live. Like Ohio's cheap, but it's not that cheap. So it was this crazy dream of mine. And I made it to like the final round interviews and then I didn't get in. And I was heartbroken. And I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm not doing anything. I worked at Dairy Queen at the time. And I was like, I'll just work at Dairy Queen. Like, this is my life now. And then like a week before classes started, I was like, okay, I should at least enroll in a local university. And I say like at least, but Akron's a great school. The University of Akron, I don't know if you're familiar, but they're ranked extremely well for engineering. And I mean nothing by saying like I'll just, but it was local and it was close and it was a week before classes started. So I was like, I'm going there, whatever. I'm just going to go to school. And it turned out to be like one of the best experiences of my life. I joined my sorority there and I made my roommate now I met there. She's my big in my sorority from Akron and just had the best time. So great that I made that decision. And then, but during that year, I knew that's not where I wanted to stay. And I needed to get to a big city. I was like acting and modeling from Akron, but there wasn't really a lot of opportunity. So I applied to USC in LA, applied to the U in Miami, and then I applied to NYU in New York. Cause I was like, I'm going to LA, Miami, or New York. One way or another, I'm using school to get there and I'm going.
Yeah.
And I just happened to get into USC and basically my uncle, who's like a super amazing resource for me in my life because he is like the only person in my family who ever went to college. So I kind of see him as like guidance for those questions. And he's like, you need to go to USC. He's like, it's a great school. You have basically I had basically a full ride. He's like, you need to go.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that brought me to LA and thank God it did. You know, I'm super grateful. I had no idea what USC was really even about. I just wanted to move to LA.
And you knew nobody out here when you came out here, right?
I knew no one. So I was in a sorority. I'm in Kappa Kappa Gamma. And that's another reason for USC versus UCLA. UCLA had Kappa Kappa Gamma too, but they only took transfers as a junior and I was coming as a sophomore. So USC was like the only option to me at that point. And yeah, I was like, well, I have my sorority, so they'll be my sisters and I'll just figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
And I moved straight into the house. So I didn't ever like do a dorm thing. When I went to Akron, I lived in my house. And then when I came out here, I moved straight into the sorority house.
You never dealt with like dorm life?
I never did dorm life. Like that's something I kind of regret. And if I go to grad school, which is like on the horizon, hopefully, I'll do all the things.
Nice. Well, so you come up to USC. Was it hard to transition to USC? Like I know you had your sorority sisters, but was it hard to kind of like make friends with them, or was it just always like everyone was very like welcoming and for you?
Yeah, great question. So I was convinced that I was gonna have my sisters, everything was gonna be great. And I got there and I did not fit in. So I don't know if you're familiar with Greek life, but
I'm a fraternity boy. I used to be a Fiji. So
oh, nice. Okay, so you know how like yes, it's a national organization. However, by school it can differ greatly.
Yeah.
So my sorority where I joined was nothing like where I transferred to. And that hit me like a ton of bricks because I just knew we were all going to be best friends and they were my sisters and I was going to be like welcomed. And I moved straight in the house thinking that would be the case. And it was very awkward for me. I did not fit in. Coming to USC was actually a very rough transition. And I cried every single night for like the first 2 to 3 months. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. Nobody understands me. Like, it was a smack in the face and to not have any family or anyone to turn to. And, you know, my uncle went to college, but my parents never went to college. So they had no idea what I was like going through. Yeah. Even when I graduated, my parents were still like, oh, did you go to UC or UCLA? Like literally the week of my graduation. So if that gives any perspective to kind of, you know, the situation I was in. Yeah, it was really hard. I was around a lot of kids that were more well off than I, which made me super insecure. And I felt as if I was perceived to be different from them because of that. And I grew and I learned a lot of it was just in my mind, and I was worthy if I decided I was worthy. And it honestly helped me with a lot of my biases, because growing up without, you assume everyone with is spoiled or stuck up or bratty or privileged and mean, or whatever the assumptions you want to make about people who come from some form of wealth or good upbringing. And I had a chip on my shoulder, but as I went to USC, I met incredible people, and it really helped me break down those stereotypes I had against all the things I really wanted and want for my family now. I hope that I can give my kids everything, the moon and more.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal.
Yeah. So it was hard in a nutshell. It was very hard, but I got through it. And by senior year, it was a lot more enjoyable. I was also working 4 jobs to afford to be there. So when people were like, oh, we're just hanging out and studying, or, oh, do you want to come to this party? And the answer was always, oh, I have to work. And even missing like tutoring sessions for work really was difficult on me mentally, because I wanted to do well. And it was hard. It was much more rigorous than Akron was, or any of the schooling I'd had previously. So I definitely had to step up my game, but I couldn't even like make it to the study sessions because I was working this job to afford to be there. So it was this huge catch-22. And basically by senior year, my uncle was like, just take out more loans. Just take out loans and stop working so much and focus on your academics. And I was so afraid to take out money, because I'm like, well, my parents can't pay it back, and I sure as hell can't pay it back. So what's going to happen with all this debt?
Yeah.
And he was like, you're going to USC, like everything will work out. Just do it. And I was like, all right. And I did. And senior year was so much better. I wish I had taken that advice from the beginning, because USC is not the place where you want to be working 4 jobs, trying to do well in school.
Yeah, I bet. She's 4 jobs. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was absolutely insane. I was working as a telemarketer from like 6 to 8 a.m. Then I'd go to my first class, and then I worked at the Roski School of Fine Arts as an admin assistant from like 12 to 2. Then I had a few more classes, and then I taught at the 24th Street Theater, which is Jack Black's nonprofit in downtown LA, very close to USC, from like 4 to 6. And then I was actually working as a server in downtown LA from like 7 to 2 a.m. So I had very little time, as you can imagine, to study and to be social and to just be like a college kid. So crazy time, but I made it.
Yeah, that crazy times, but hey, that's what makes you you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good story, and it's definitely for acting, it definitely gives me a lot of depth and a lot of understanding. And I feel like a lot of relatability to characters who struggle in those ways, or other actors, or who are people who are aspiring to be actors. Like, you don't have to come from any certain background. I think having depth and having a story definitely can help you. And not that you need a struggle story either. I'm in the place where I'm like, just do the work and you see the blessings for what they are.
I like that. Good. Like I said, you don't necessarily need like the struggle, but I'm glad that you're able to use that for your acting. It's a really good way to kind of transfer all that energy over.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I don't wish that upon anyone, and I don't see it as a barrier for anyone, but if you have it, use it. It's not for nothing.
So after you graduate from USC, do you start what's like the first acting job you picked up? Was it just I assume like a non-union thing, or did you sign up Central Casting or something like that?
Oh yeah. Central Casting was first up. So first I downloaded Actors Access and LA Casting, and I was self-submitting for everything. And the first thing I actually booked was more of a modeling job. It was for Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, and it was their World Cup commercial for the makeup, and I got to play Miss Brazil, and it was like my first time being paid to be on a set, and it was amazing. I got there, and there was crafty and lunch, and did my makeup, and I never, I come from theater, right? So film and TV was so foreign to me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a movie star, right? This is I won't say what year this is, but it was, I thought I was going to be a movie star the next day after having that experience. Needless to say, it does not work like that. There are many, many years involved before, well, not for everyone. Some people are movie star overnight, but that was not my path. So yes, central casting was the next step. And I went, so I'm part of the central casting before the like sign up online and get an appointment generation we have now. I was the get there at 2 a.m. with a chair and hope that you're one of the first people in line, because if not, you come back and do it again crowd.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I definitely missed that crowd. Thank God. Woo.
Yeah. So central casting used to be only in person, and it was only like the first 50 people in line. So people would start lining up like the night before. So you brought blankets, you brought chairs. You know, LA's a desert, so at night it's cold, no matter what time of year it is. So you bundle up and you wait all night, and then you have to get your picture taken if you get in, right? It's like such a smack in the face. So I did that, and it's funny, I was the last person they let in when I went.
Oh, wow.
So it was like this huge like omen of reassurance of, okay, I'm doing the right thing. So I got in and I signed up and started working background. And I didn't, I got vouchers and I would be booked for SAG projects just based on what characters they wanted me for and whatnot. But I didn't join SAG till they made me. I was very much like, I will be non-union, must join as long as I can hold on to get all of the experience and footage and student films under my belt as I can. And I really made that a priority. And going to USC, we have the #1 film school in the world. I'm so blessed to be a part of that alumna. And I really did a lot of USC student projects, which super helped with footage and experience. And I will still do a USC project. If somebody called me today and they're like, hey, student film USC, I'd be like, absolutely. Because I trust the work they're doing. And although they're students, I mean, the stuff that comes out of there is incredible. I mean, Fruitvale Station, just as an example, Ryan Coogler, Spielberg's a part of our program. And I'm sure everyone's aware of USC. I don't need to go on and on, but I'm super grateful to have landed there by accident, because that was probably one of the greatest decisions and experiences of my days.
It's good that you would go back to do like student films, because you never know what connections that you're going to make. And like you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned like Fruitvale Station, Ryan Coogler. You're like, yeah, exactly. You don't know what this student's going to go on to do. And the fact that you would come back and work with them, they'd probably remember that. Like, oh, I went to this project with Sierra. I should give her a call or hit her up and see what happens.
100%. I believe they're the next generation of film stars through and through, and to work with them, to know them, to even just give back to my, that's the beautiful thing about USC is we're always looking to pick up other Trojans and to cheer them on, to root them on, and to be a part of that. That's one of the beautiful things about the network. So there's just so many reasons to stay involved, and I highly recommend it. And AFI as well is an amazing program, and I've done a few of their student projects and have had wonderful experiences there too. So people can hate on student films and short films all they want, but I'm like an indie festival student lover of art. So that all that stuff definitely speaks to my heart.
Good. You mentioned you joined SAG because you were at that point like a must join. What was the project that you became must join at?
Oh my God. So when I booked Lucifer, craziest story. It's like, as an actor, you have no work and then you have everything all at once. And I had booked a Lifetime movie that was filming for 4 days. And then I had a self-tape for Lucifer, and then I booked that too, but it was filming on the same day. And my manager called me. He's like, oh my God, you booked Lucifer. He's like, oh shoot, the filming day is blah, blah, blah. You can't do it. And I was like, whoa. What do you mean I can't do it? He's like, no, they're the same day. I was like, no, we make this work.
Yeah.
I said, you find out what the shooting time is, because Lifetime was doing overnight shoots. So I was like, find out if it's an early morning shoot, and let's work with Lifetime and let's do it. Which was like great. Now I realize like I was a little bit crazy to like even ask for that, but I did, and it worked. Because Lucifer was shooting.
It's good that you asked, because you never know. Like, if you didn't ask, you would have been like, oh, I guess I can't do it. Like, no, I'm glad you asked. You persevered through. Like, that reminds me of Michael J. Fox when they wanted him for Back to the Future, but he also had family ties. And I can't do it. I was like, well, no, we'll work around you. So he he filmed Family Ties during the day, and he did Back to the Future at night. So I was like, oh.
I
So yeah, you're
love
like a
that.
modern
I
Michael J.
didn't even
Fox.
know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
hey. It's so true. Like, I believe all things are possible. I think some things are harder than others, but I believe all things are possible. And if you really want to do something, you can make it work. I'm just a firm believer of putting that out there and making it happen. And turned out Lucifer was a 6 a.m. call. So I was like, great. So I'll just go we wrapped like 5 a.m. on the Lifetime film. And then I drove, and it was in Santa Clarita. And then Lucifer was shooting in Long Beach. So I wrapped at 5 a.m. in Santa Clarita, drove all the way, made it just in time for my call time at 6 a.m. in Long Beach, filmed Lucifer. It was an 8-hour shoot, wrapped there, and had to drive all the way back to Santa Clarita to check back in. So there was a period of 48 hours that I just didn't sleep.
Wow.
So yeah, when I got to Lucifer, I mean, I already had begun to look tired. So they put the amount of concealer I had on my face that day to make me blend in. But I've diverted so much. It's just such a crazy story, and just shows like the craziness of our industry. But that is the project that I was forced to join the union. Thankfully, I'm grateful to be in the union, but I was trying to hold out just to have all the footage and experience under my belt beforehand. But it was like the 2 days after filming, my manager called me. He's like, hey, you have to join SAG by 5 p.m. today, or your Lucifer stuff's cut. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're a must join. Like, they called me and you need to get down to the building by 5 p.m. And I was like, I'm on my way. Dropped everything I was doing. I had no money at this time because these are the first like 2 big things I really booked, and I hadn't been paid for them yet, obviously. So shout out to USC. I have a credit card from the credit union there, and all of my dues went on that credit card.
Yeah.
I just paid it off like 2 months ago. Paying that baby for a while because it's like $3,200 or something. But so I paid more to join SAG than I got paid for my gig that had me join. But in the long run, it's totally worth it. And yeah, it was time. God said it was time. And, again, some things are hard, but there's a way. If you want it, you can get anything you want in this world.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, nothing's impossible. It's just some things are just harder to do, but you can still do it.
Exactly. And you just have to decide if it's worth, your effort of it being that hard. And if you're willing to persevere, I mean, you're an actor, our industry is hard. And like, you'll see people moving back home, and that's great. And that's what they chose for their path. But if you're willing to endure the hardness of it, I think anything, like I said, anything's possible.
Exactly. What was it? I know you always came to set like probably really tired, but what was it like working Lucifer?
Freaking amazing. I got there really tired, but after they put me through makeup and they made me look like alive again, I got super excited, and the energy came rushing back because it's an experience of a lifetime. Crazy to be booked on a show that you actually like and watch. So that was super, super exciting. And the crew was great. The freaking cast I worked with that day was amazing. It was just all around a really, really good experience. Like, I was taken care of from the moment I landed to the moment I left. There was like someone to hold my robe in between takes. And, I'm like a co-star. I'm like, how is this happening? But they treated me very well. Everyone was very kind. It was an all around, just a blessing to be a part of that and have that experience. And, the fact that they worked with my schedule alone, like, I just have so much to be grateful with that experience. Yeah, it was great. I wish I could have been on it forever.
Yeah, it's did you ever have to deal with like any like divas or assholes on set at all, or?
No, actually, Jeremiah Burkett was the main cast member that I had my scene with, and he was literally so kind. Like, he was funny, he was kind, he was cracking jokes. I was like, can we take a picture? I was in my like, oh my God, this is happening. And he like took pictures with me, and he was like, you should get pictures by yourself too. And like, which is, I'm telling you, the energy on that set was amazing. They really created some beautiful work. And it's funny how when you're on a set, you can tell, the who's involved by how you feel on set. Sometimes you get there and you're like, okay, this is going to be a day. And
Hmm.
sometimes you get there and you're like, holy cow, this is amazing. Um, and it shows with the longevity and the seasons and the projects that go on, it really, you can kind of feel that. I don't know if you've had that experience where you get somewhere and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be an amazing thing. Even table reads, you can like
Yeah.
kind of tell the
I've gotten,
energy.
I've gotten that feeling, like kind of like both sides, where I've gone on set and it's like, oh man, this is gonna be a very, very fun shoot day. Everyone's very like positive. We're all like happy to be here. Everyone's cool. And then I've gone the opposite, like, oh, this is gonna be a long day. Someone's in a mood today.
Yeah, right.
So,
And that happens. Like production is hard. Like crew is hard.
mhm.
Yeah, I just made a TikTok the other day because I've worked on both ends. I studied film at USC as well, so I work as a first AD and a director and a producer, and I am first and foremost an actress. But I understand that being on crew, you're there before us, you leave after us, and you're never stopping. A lot of times, although they should, crew doesn't eat,
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
having a crazy time. So um granted, some days they're going to be a little more draining and they'll be a little more tired the next day than others, so grace to them, but you can definitely feel the energy either way.
Exactly. Exactly. So besides like, USC, what other like training have you done for acting?
Yeah, I am such a nerd with classes. I love studying. I love being in class. My most known classes, recently studying with Anthony Mindell at AMAW, which has been life changing, literally life changing. I'm obsessed with his philosophy, his class, everything about it. It's all about being in the moment. So not a lot of technique kind of discussed, but more about just like being present, being authentic, being you, and being in the moment, which after taking technique training is super useful. I studied at the Groundlings, so I'm definitely an improv nerd. Theater never left my heart. Love my Groundlings fam and that training. And right now I'm actually entering in back to kind of like scene and script study with Deborah Aquila.
Okay.
She is the senior VP of casting at Lionsgate. It's a super incredibly accomplished woman, but just with a great eye. She cast La La Land. She's just very involved in the industry, very Adler based, and very talented. And her school is very strictly educational. Like it's in no means a way to get a connect, to get a thing. She's very serious about the art and doing the work, and super inspired just by her as a woman professionally, but also just to learn from her and her Adler based training. So that's going to be my next step of my development.
Fun, fun.
Yeah. How about you? Where have you studied at?
So I'm actually trying to get into Groundlings, but like, since everything with pandemic, it's all been online. I don't want to do online. I really want to be in person.
Yeah. I
But
can't even imagine how they do that online.
I tried like a little like workshop with them. I did it twice, and like it was still fun. I still felt like the energy of like also on the our Zoom calls and everything. It's still fun. It's like, oh, I'm still learning a lot. But man, I want this to be in person because I feel like I would be able to like vibe more in person and like really like go off on somebody, take somebody's whatever they improv. I can like feed off that in person better than I can online.
Yeah. No, I can definitely understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, but so far since I've been out here, I've just done like LA acting studios and some workshops, just like random workshops when I first moved out here. Because I moved out here in 2019, and I did the whole
Oh
thing.
man.
Yeah, so I'm like freshly new.
Yeah, you got here and the world was like, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, you finally made it. Well, we're gonna put things on pause for a second. Like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well, they let you get settled in. LA can be a shock to anyone's system. So maybe it's a blessing in the long run.
That's true. And plus, like, I always tell like my parents, like, you know what? I've lived here for 2 years now, and one of those years is a pandemic. Like, I think I'm doing okay. And I've still
Yeah.
I've still done things like I did like the show Dirty John, and it's funny. I filmed that right before the pandemic, And
So I've heard so many good things about that show, by the way. I haven't watched
I've heard
it,
a lot of good things about it. Like, and I still haven't seen it, which is kind of funny. But like, it's hilarious because I guess it just finally came on Netflix. All of a sudden, I'm seeing like notifications from my friends. Like, I'm getting messages. Hey, was this you? Or hey, was that you? Like, then I will see the picture and we'll see the scene. Like, oh yeah, that is me.
Love it. Congratulations. It's an
Thank you.
awesome
Thank
show to
you.
be a part of.
And like that was like the first thing I ever got SAG for. Like I'm not a must join yet, but I'm still like I'm eligible, so I can if I wanted to I can join right now. But I'm gonna like you, I just want to keep building more non-union projects, student films, and just like pad up my resume a little bit until I have to join.
Exactly. Like, yes, the union is amazing and it's a blessing. And some people will be like, hey, when you can join. And I think it's all just a personal choice of where you are in your career. But if you're in the place where you feel like you could still use a few more, student stuff or smaller non-union stuff, not even smaller, because non-union is like has huge projects too, but just building up a little more. I definitely, if that's for you, I recommend it. I did that and it worked out pretty well for me. Like I said, the union's amazing. I'm so grateful to be a part of it, but it's like a personal choice. You gotta just see where you're at and what's right for you in the moment,
Exactly. And like, yeah, like the end goal is always going to be join the union. I just want to just wait it out, like just see what happens. And again, like had I joined right after Dirty John, the world went on pause. So I would have just been out of luck for like a year and a half without anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked because I was like, oh, I should join SAG right now. And I had to think about like, no, let me wait, and I might build up some more stuff. And I was still getting more things too. And yeah, then everything just went on pause. And then now thankfully everything's finally opened back up. Restrictions are in California are gone again. So
God, I'm so excited just to work. I just can't wait to work.
Yeah, what was like for you? What was the hardest part about everything going on with Corona?
The hardest part was that my Lifetime movie and Lucifer both dropped early 2020, like February 2020. So I had all this momentum. I had press. I was like, this is it. My life's changing. Blah, blah, blah. Things are great. I was having crazy amount of auditions. And then like the world was like, just kidding. It's not your time yet. And that was definitely hard. It was hard because they say in our industry, once the ball's rolling, you kind of got to keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Live with the momentum, seize the moment, all of these things I've been taught my entire creative career to then have that moment or feel like I'm having that moment. And then for that to be kind of taken away, which I know a lot of people feel like things were taken away from them this year. And I don't mean to be like, poor me, but that was the hardest part for me. That was kind of like just a humbling moment. And, I was actually still studying at the Groundlings when that happened. And so class stopped, and just so many things, just felt like they were coming to a halt. And I'm sure so many people can relate to that. And that was the hardest part, was the beginning and the uncertainty. And will we ever get back to production? Will I ever be able to be in class with someone without a mask where I can like scream in their face and kiss them afterwards? And needless to say, like, yes, it will. The world is returning. Like all of these beautiful moments of humanity and people will exist. I'm like getting emotional because it's so meaning, like human connection is so important to me. So that was just really scary, the uncertainty of like human connection and like hugging people and like loving on them. And as an artist, I don't know how you are with all of that, but that's part of who I feel like I am. And so now that like obviously the fog has cleared and there is a path to coming back into all of that, so I'm just super grateful. But that was definitely the what ifs and what's going to happen. That was hard for me. How about you? What was your like? From moving here.
Yeah, it was all like, because I moved in July of 2019, and then I joined Central Casting, and I was still like, I was getting stuff, and I was like slowly, like you were just like slowly building momentum. Yeah, then Dirty John happened, and then I got another project, which I don't know if I can talk about yet because it hasn't come out yet.
Ooh.
But like I got that, and I worked like the first episode, and like, oh yeah, we'll bring you back. Like, oh cool. And And then they didn't because, the world's like, well, let's hold off on that for a second. And yeah, that was like I did that. And then I also got another, which I guess I can kind of mention because it got canceled, but I had an opportunity for Glow, and literally as I was getting things going with that, like talking to certain people, that's when COVID happened, and then they announced, okay, the show's not coming back anymore because of the pandemic. It's like, and I was like, no, why? That was gonna be like, I had such like a breakdown because I was so upset because I thought I was convinced I was gonna be like, all right, this is my end, this is it. I will use this to launch my career.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I had a friend who had a similar experience with Glow. And so intimately I can kind of see where you're coming from with that, because that was really hard, I know, for her to kind of have that experience, and then for again to feel like it's almost ripped away from you. But she actually turned that into a blessing. She's producing her own wrestling show right now, which is incredible. It's different than Glow because it's very much based in actual wrestlers and women who properly trained. And I can't speak for Glow. I don't really know what they've done or what was required of them, but rather than taking actors who can wrestle, they kind of took wrestlers who are also trained as actors.
Gotcha.
So they show a lot more of like live style matches and have commentary during it. And that's a lot more of the meat of the show. And yeah, it's super exciting. She's like turning it into a whole thing, and they got amazing people behind it. And so,
Well,
you just never know what's going to happen.
well, you should send her over my way, because I'm also I trained as a wrestler for like 8 months, but still I also have some wrestling experience. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. I'll absolutely connect you guys, because I know so basically the show's going to have like other wrestlers will be needed for certain things to happen. I don't want to give any of their show away, but there will be definitely opportunities for people who are trained in wrestling. So I will absolutely, when we get off here, I'll connect you and send you her info and connect you guys, because that could be a beautiful thing that came out of both on this for both of you.
Perfect. And see, anyone listening, that's how connections are made. So there you go.
Yes, exactly. Listeners, hear up. Tell your friends, connect your friends. There is enough room for everybody to win. That is how we do this thing called art.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like a great thing of like, but with my experience in LA, it's like I've never met anybody who's been like selfish in the sense of like, oh, they didn't want to like pass on something to someone else because they wanted it. Everyone's always like, everyone I've ever been like or met has always been so giving. Like, oh, I should connect you with this person. I should connect you with that. Like our mutual friend Camilla, like I got a project through her, and she's like, oh, hey Chris, I should meet you. You should meet my friend Hardy and my friend Aaron, and we can get you on their show. And I was like, oh, perfect. And again, it was beautiful, it was awesome, we made great magic, and that's going to be hopefully people like it.
Yeah, congratulations. That's literally it. Like, it's so like they say, it's all about who you know, and I feel like that can come off as so intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. It can literally be about the person you met through your best friend happens to know someone that's amazing for you. And just because, I'm not a fit for that kind of show or that role or whatever, you are, like, I should extend it to you. I believe being 1 degree away from success means you're one step closer to success, not that it was someone else got it instead of you. And with like, it's all about who you know. It's so true for this industry, but it sometimes it's your best friend. It doesn't have to be this like omniscient person that's at the top of the whatever and you'll never get there. And no, it's like literally just talk to people, tell them your dreams, tell them your skill set, and good people will connect you with people they know that are good for you, and the world will continue that way, and it will all, everyone can win.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's I mean, really, that's the goal right there, is helping everybody else. Because again, like we mentioned, you never know what they're going to go on to do, what you're going to go on to do. Like, you guys just build each other up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked enough industry talk here. You're also you made your own business. You have a candle business. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I have a quarantine baby. Well, I have two because I got a puppy during the quarantine as well. The two quarantine babies. One is my dog Esme. She's perfect. And the other is my candle business. The name of the company is Sanctuary Candle Co. Website is mycandlesanctuary.com. And it was a passion project during quarantine. I had time on my hands and I wanted to be creative. And I was obviously very broke. I ran through my savings very quickly. And so I started actually researching candles because I love them. Something just personally enjoy. And I wanted to just make them for myself. And then I started learning about all the toxins that were in like paraffin wax and certain fragrance oils. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, I don't want to burn that in my house. So then I discovered like natural waxes, like coconut soy waxes. And I actually started playing with essential oils. And everywhere online is like, it's not a good binding agent. It won't smell strong enough. Like essential oil candles can't be done basically. And I was like, oh, challenge. I'm interested. I'm figuring this out. So I ended up making my own custom essential oil blends for my candles. And I kind of just made them for myself at first, but then people liked them. And I was like, maybe I could sell this, and just made my own little small business. And then it just kept growing by word of mouth and friends of friends. Like a lot of it was friends and family in the beginning. And that was enough to continue. And word of mouth is real. Like when you have something good or something people actually enjoy and they tell somebody, it's like wildfire. It's beautiful how the business grew just through my community. And now it's like a beautiful side hustle, small business to kind of aid me in my acting endeavors and keep me in class when, things, as actors, sometimes you're working and sometimes you're not. And you got to be ready either way. And I think it's beautiful for actors to have passion and things outside of acting. And I know, there's sometimes this taboo idea that like you just have to always work really hard and you have to always be doing it or you're never going to make it. And I feel like that's so dangerous. I feel like it's beautiful to be a multi-hyphenate. It's beautiful to have hobbies and interests in a life while you're pursuing acting because there's no timeline. It could be tomorrow, it could be 30 years from now. And you can't put your life off waiting for someone else to bank on you. So if you're not writing your own projects and making your own stuff to put yourself in and put yourself on, I think do yourself a favor and find something outside of acting that also inspires you, because it adds to your work. Like if I get booked as a candle maker, I'm ready. I have experience as a small business owner, as a candle maker, which just makes me a more depthful human for different roles. And B, it just adds to your life. You gotta still do life. I'm a big proponent of that. I'm definitely in class and working hard. I'm not saying put acting on the back burner, but I think there's a beautiful balance you can find through hobbies or work, etc.
Yeah, agree with that. Let me ask you this. What would you say is like your dream project that you want to work on? Like, if, say, like there's like a certain TV show you want to be part of, or a certain like movie franchise. What's like the one project you want to work on?
Oh yeah. Okay, this is a loaded question. Okay, so I have a few things. I'll be quick. Barefoot in the Park remake. Obsessed with that film, obsessed with that play, and I feel like she is me and I am her. I'm completely ready to be Jane Fonda 2.0 and redo that film because it is another one of those things that I saw and I just felt so connected with. And that character, I was like, how did they find me and put her in a movie? Like, this is so weird. So if you've seen that movie, you have totally been insight to my crazy, quirky self now. I'm sorry, and you're welcome all at once. I also love Marisa Tomei, My Cousin Vinny. Like, if not a remake of that, just to work with her in any capacity and be a relative of hers, I feel like would be hilarious because we are spitting images of each other.
I was just gonna say, like, you guys literally look alike. Yeah, like you could literally be like mother daughter or just some. Yeah, exactly, like some kind of relative.
Sisters. Yeah. There's a ton of opportunity there. I love her. And I think she's just also a very incredible woman with her views and her thoughts and her work. And I would love to be just beside her in any form. I'm a sucker for period pieces. So something of like the 1800s Victorian era would be like Goo Goo Dream for a movie. And Vampire Diaries, I know I'm like crazy. Vampire Diaries is like one of my favorite shows. And there's this new show out right now called First Kill. And being on the vampire train, like my dog's named Esme, which is the baby of Edward and Bella in Twilight. So I love vampires, and I think that would be a very cool project to be a part of, or anything kind of like sci-fi. Nice. Yeah, that was so much. But how about you? What would you do?
So I mean, I also love vampires as well too. Like my favorite show growing up was Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angels. So like,
yes,
if they ever, there's talks like doing like a Buffy reboot, and I was like, okay, if that happens, I will move hell and high water to be a part of that project. I don't care if it's like one line or just me just walking in one piece of dialogue. I will kill to be on a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. So again, cross fingers, putting it out in the universe. Anyways.
Love that.
Also, and again, I love Vampire Diaries too, which is funny that you mentioned that. That used to be my show back in the day. And yeah, I'm a sucker for like period pieces and stuff like that. Like a good 80s movie I would love to be in, like an 80s buddy cop film I just would love to do. Like I'm kind of writing an 80s buddy story, and like I wanted that's like my passion project I've done in the pandemic is make this like 80s like buddy cop kind of like it's like an 80s buddy cop Quentin Tarantino stylish movie. I'm still working out the kinks on that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
I love that for you.
There's that, and then also some sci-fi supernatural stuff would be cool.
Yeah, I actually worked on last night a project. Are you familiar with Anwar? He's a like a social media influencer.
No.
Yeah, so he's like he's like one of the original. Sorry, my dog, she wants to be heard. He's like one of the original Viners. So he makes really like funny social media content. He has like 8 million followers on Instagram. And he just bought his own like studio. So just super talented, creative, awesome human. And I've worked on a few of his projects, and last night it was actually an 80s disco.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Yeah, you're speaking to me. I was definitely 80s up last night. Super fun period. I'd never done anything 80s before, so that was like definitely gave me a new lens, and that was very, very cool. So hope all the best for you and your 80s cop project. I think that sounds super fun.
Thank you. Yeah, that's like it's one of I want to ideally make it sometime next year, because I want that to I have a lot of friends who are in SAG, so I would have to make it a SAG project because they wouldn't be able to be a part of it if I just did it regularly, So I'm kind of going to the details of getting how I can make sure everything's compliant. That way they don't get in trouble if they were a part of it,
Yeah, absolutely. Even with that, they've definitely done a lot for SAG in that way. Like you have ultra low budget, you have just low budget, medium low budget. So there's definitely a lot of ways, new media, to get your project through the SAG approval process that are definitely a little more forgiving to newer artists and smaller budget ideas. So definitely some new creations there, which is awesome.
Well, Sierra, we're coming up on the end here. Let me ask you this. If you could go back in time, go back to Akron, find little old 8-year-old you, what would you tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself?
Oh, that's good. If I could go back to 8-year-old me, so many things I would like to tell her. She needs to know so many things. But definitely just keep going and believe in herself, and kind of what I learned in college, not to judge those who have, and don't be a victim, and just know that you can have whatever you want. And I think I know that now, and that's why so many things for me have changed just in my life. But I think 8-year-old self just needs to know, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money your family has, or what neighborhood you grew up in, or what kind of a parenting experience you've had. I definitely envied so many other kids for so many other reasons, but none of that matters because it's all within, and you can have whatever you want. You just have to work for it. And like I said, things are hard, but they're not impossible. So just do the hard stuff and go after what you want.
I love it. Love it. All amazing advice.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Wish
we're
you would have known that sooner.
yeah, exactly. Hey, but it's life. You take
She
what you
figured
get.
it out.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
figured it out.
So where can people find you online? Where's your social medias and your like websites?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Sierra Nowak. It's SIERRANOWAK. I have a YouTube page where I upload more of like director reel, actor reel, classwork kind of stuff. That's at Sierra Nowak as well. And TikTok, my name is already taken, so it's Sierra Nowak, ITS Sierra Nowak. And as far as if you're interested in collaborating or my agency, my IMDb is just my name as well, and my website is www.sierranowak.com.
Yeah,
Everything's my name.
Yeah, everything except on TikTok because someone else took it. So
yeah, I lost that one.
definitely follow her on all her social medias. I'll check her website, and yeah, definitely just keep an eye out for Sierra because she's gonna go on to do great things. She's gonna be an amazing director, amazing actress. Well, you can watch her on Lucifer, and maybe you can watch her and Marisa Tomei in a movie here pretty soon too. You never know.
Yeah, stay tuned, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure and an honor to connect with you and speak with you about the thing we both love, which is acting and art, and all the best with all your future episodes.
Hey, thank you as well, and all the best to you. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll peace on out.
Peace.